And with us now is Ashraf Al-Ajrami, a former minister of the Palestinian Authority for Detainees and Detainees Affairs. Also with us is Rafael Yerushalami, a former senior intelligence officer in the IDF. I'll start, Ashraf, with you. I want to ask about the support and collaboration from the Palestinian Authority now as the IDF conducts the manhunt. Should the Palestinian Authority be helping Israel find these terror prisoners? Should they be helping more?
I think the Palestinian Authority in a very complicated situation. On one hand, all Palestinians support the release of these prisoners, even by having this in escaping way or anything like that. And the whole Palestinian public support the freedom of the prisoners. This is the issue of consensus in the Palestinian public opinion. And on the other hand, the Palestinian Authority has coordination and agreements with the Israeli side. So it is very complicated. On one hand, they should support the freedom of the prisoners, and on the other hand, they also have
Ashraf, why support their freedom? There is security cooperation and a very crucial partnership for both sides between Israel and the Palestinian Authority. This is a very important security level partnership that's been ongoing for years. When you have 6 maximum security prisoners escape via a tunnel, why should the PA support their freedom instead of trying to help them get arrested?
Because it is the right of any prisoners to have freedom and to search for freedom. And when they release themselves from the Israel jails, no one in the Palestinian society and the Palestinian people can oppose that, even the Palestinian Authority. So it is somehow the aim of all prisoners, and the Palestinian Authority all the time supports the release of the prisoners and also demands from the Israeli side to release them.
Okay.
They see that this issue can improve the relationships between the two sides, and very essential issue to have confidence and to also promote the peace process.
Continuing our discussion on the manhunt for the six escaped Palestinian prisoners from a maximum security Israeli jail a few days ago with Ashraf Al-Ajrami, former Palestinian Authority minister and security analyst and former intelligence officer in the IDF, Rafael Yerushalami. Rafael, your reaction to some of the comments we just heard from Ashraf about how there being an argument amongst the Palestinians that the jail break should be celebrated. It's a heroic thing, but more importantly, that maybe the PA shouldn't be cooperating so willingly with Israel to get them back.
Well, first of all, the Palestinian Authority is in a bit of a spot because out of the 6 escapees, one is a member of Fatah, of the PLO. All the escapees have been only from the Islamic Jihad, it would have been easier for Ramallah and the Palestinian Authority government to cooperate on this situation. But here they have one of their own, what so-called heroes also escaped. So this limits their will to cooperate. Yes, but there might be a mistake because this person that escaped is reinforcing the Barghouti camp, which is threatening actually the Abu Mazen camp, meaning that the president of the Palestinian Authority might lose ground to his opponents because of this escape, since the escape is more to be claimed by opposite factions inside the PLO. Lastly, of course, it is very clear, and your guest has made it, unfortunately, very clear, that these people are considered as normal detainees. They are considered maybe as political detainees, which is absolutely not the case. These people are low animal murderers with blood, civilian innocent blood on their hands. Any support for them is clear support of terrorism, of violence and hatred. It is totally unacceptable.
Ashraf, your response?
Yeah, I think if we speak about terrorism, also the state of Israel all the time made the terrorism against the Palestinian people, and they murdered thousands of Palestinians. So it is a conflict, and the two sides did bad things here and there. But the Palestinian people is the victim of the occupation. If you remove the occupation,
Ashraf, are you saying that these prisoners, are these prisoners victims? Are you saying that these escaped prisoners, they're victims?
Yes, of course. Also, the prisoners are victims because they are Palestinian people under unhuman condition. And even if they did mistakes or something not acceptable, they are a victim of occupation. When the occupation ends, I think there is no need for any Palestinian to use violence or to fight against Israel.
Raphael, your reaction?
Well, I would inform our viewers that the conditions of detention of political detainees inside Palestinian jails are absolutely atrocious. One journalist not long ago died from the torture he underwent in the Palestinian jails. If you're an opponent to the regime, you may be sure you will be absolutely mistreated. Your human rights will not be respected, whereas even the worst of terrorists in an Israeli jail is allowed visits, a phone call here and there to the family, and proper food, and there is even some money that is being contributed by the Palestinian Authority that reaches the Israeli jails to better the conditions of living. So no comparison. The terrorist state is in Ramallah, and the democratic state is in Jerusalem.